All right, on to the wild card, and we'll wrap this one up. Hopefully this is a fun one. We are going to, and you guys don't have to disagree on this one. You can just give me your take. We're going to go through this pretty rapid fire. We got about 9 minutes, and we're going to wrap. So I want to know which team, and I tried to get teams that were in similar schedule situations, maybe not always, but teams that were in similar schedule situations, because if we did this Florida versus Miami, I think it'd be pretty easy to say, well, Miami's in the ACC, a little easier road. But I want to know which team from each of these 5 pairings is going to have more wins over the next 3 years. Which team of each of these 5 pairings is going to have more wins over the next 3 years? You get to have your take, but it's got to be a quick take because we're going to go through 10 teams at the end of the day. Florida State versus Colorado. Who has more wins over the next 3 seasons? Cole, you can start us off.
I'm going to go Florida State, and I'm going to pull a trap right here. I think it's Florida State because Colorado's going to lose Deion Sanders to Florida State. And he's going to come on in. He is going to now be the next head coach. He is going to bring his type of talent down there. And eventually Florida State is going to be at least in that conversation for going to Charlotte every single season where Colorado's hitting a reset.
Tom?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Just to be a contrarian, I think I like the ability of Caden Salter this year to potentially just get them a little bit of a pad. And then if Deion does leave and does go to the aforementioned Florida State, that will certainly change things. Say he doesn't, you still have Julian Lewis there potentially as the guy who's the next starting quarterback. What would that be, 2026?
Yeah.
So whomever comes in there, they're not going to look for a circus at head coach. They're going to look for a tactician. So they could be set up for more success to win more games in an easier conference.
Juju Lewis is going to Tallahassee, though. That's the problem.
He's going with him.
Yeah, we'll see.
I would lean Florida State here too, even coming off the 2-10, just because I do think that the Big 12 is so competitive that if Florida State just gets their act together one of the next 3 years and goes 8-4, I think that could help them out. So I'll probably lean Florida State there, but I don't know. After last year, I don't have a lot of confidence in anything. LSU in Florida.
Tom, you can go first.
Man.
That's a tough one.
That's a tough, because I can see both coaches could not be there after 2025.
Sure.
I'll go with LSU because I think it's a much more ferocious desire to win and a much higher ceiling in terms of willingness to spend. But like what both these teams look like, Lagway, at least you feel confident he should be there beyond 2025. Nussmeier, you're done after this season. So what does the future look like there? I'll go with LSU.
I will go with LSU because I love what they've done in terms of building that staff. Everyone has ties in the state of Louisiana. So there should be no 5-star, no 4-star leaving the area to go anywhere else besides Baton Rouge. I think Brian Kelly is going to be able to stabilize this roster. I think, yes, they're going to finally be able to get a first game win in week 1. And I just have my questions when it comes to Florida. I think DJ Lagway is stable, but is Billy Napier stable? Because remember, last season they were throwing beer cans on the field at the Swamp in a don't drink and drive out after losing to Texas A&M with Billy Napier's face. So who's to say that doesn't happen again with an 0-3 start at home this season?
Yeah, I'd probably lean LSU here too. Again, not my Florida hatred, but just the idea of they could certainly get out to they could be 9-3 this year, which might even be a little disappointing for LSU. UF's schedule could have them at 6-6. If you have a 3-game lead and you fire a coach, you have a lot of roster turnover. I think it's more likely that LSU comes out on top, but Florida surprises some people. Maybe it does go the other way. Ohio State and Oregon.
I won't. This one's tough, but there's a part of me that does believe that Dante Moore is not going to be as advertised, and Julian Sayin will. And I'm going to go with Ohio State. They still have 2 of the best players in college football, and Jeremiah Smith and Caleb Downs. Smith is not going anywhere for 2 more years. I think Julian Sayin is the truth. I believe that he can be the absolute enforcer and the X factor that helps Ohio State make it back to the college football playoff semifinals. And I still believe that even though that they did lose Jim Knowles defensively, they're going to produce the right amount of talent that comes in there for the defensive side. So give me Ohio State, but I will say it's very, very close. Probably like a 2-game separation between the 2.
I agree with that. I'm also going to go with Ohio State. The X factor is how badly does Phil Knight want a national championship before he leaves this earth, because that could ratchet up significantly in the next 3 years. I think Dan Lanning's the guy there for a while. I agree on the skepticism on Moore. And I like the way that Ryan Day continues to put together his staff. Even if Patricia's a 1-year situation, Brian Hartline at offensive coordinator, got to see if that actually works out there, but it should. It could. He got the talent to make it look good.
I think it's Ohio State. The two things that would give me pause and make me want to pick Oregon would be that Ohio State does still have to play Michigan every single year on their schedule, which is almost an auto loss at this point. And then I think that Oregon, I don't know, I'm leaning that way because I mean, they're really good in the regular season, and they've shown that. Now, if you count in playoff wins, maybe you would take Ohio State because they just figure something out in postseason play. But I'm going Ohio State by just the slimmest of margins. All right, back to the SEC. We've got two more matchups here, and I think we're going to do it as the buzzer sounds. Texas and Georgia.
Tom, you can have fun with this one.
Texas. I'll go with Texas. I think Steve Sarkisian with Arch Manning, you should have a decent run with that for a little while. There's some more questions with Kirby Smart and Georgia's ability to stay on top. I think NIL has kind of shown that there's a little bit more parity in the SEC. I think Georgia is going to be able to still be competing at a high level. I don't put Gunnar Stockton above many quarterbacks in college football. So at least for the short term, Texas, I'll take them.
I've doubted Georgia once. I've doubted Georgia twice. I've nearly doubted them a third time. I'm not doing it again. Give me Georgia. I still believe that, yes, while they may have questions at quarterback, remember, they always had these pocket passers that weren't really household names and were quality players, and they had a great supporting cast around them. Glenn Schumann's not going anywhere on the defensive side. You're not losing Kirby Smart to help out with recruiting. You're not losing multiple pieces to the transfer portal. You got a lot of guys coming on in, and you're still landing top 3 recruiting classes. I think that Georgia, the only downside is their schedule sometimes is a little bit more tricky, depending on how Florida looks every single year, depending on how Auburn looks every single year. When they have the matchup against Alabama, that may end up boding to hurting them. But much like an Oregon-Ohio State conversation, I think there's a 1 or 2 game separation, but I'm not doubting Kirby Smart when you put him underneath the spotlight.
I'd lean Texas on this one just because of NIL resources and schedule, but we'll see what the SEC schedule looks like for both these teams going forward the next 2 years, right? Obviously, Texas has an easier one this year. Does that flip on its head? Is it tougher for Georgia? I also have a little bit more confidence in Florida and Auburn getting back than I do Oklahoma. Also, Tennessee in there as well. Do they continue to roll? So I think I'd lean Texas on this one. What an idiot, though, to doubt Kirby Smart ever is what I feel like after taking that pick. And then our last one, Tom, you can start us off here because I know that you'll be very unbiased. Notre Dame and Penn State.
Notre Dame.
Being able to make their schedules a big deal. And having ACC opponents and not Big Ten opponents is a big deal.
The pieces that Penn State will lose after 2025 have to be considered. You will potentially be moving into the Ethan Grunkemeyer era at quarterback, potentially with Andy Kotelnicki no longer as the offensive coordinator. A lot of change there. You should be able to rely on, or at least you hope you can have Jim Knowles for a number of years to come. And then the question of, okay, if James Franklin doesn't get it done in 2025, is he fired? No, but like, what now? This is the all-in year. Marcus Freeman, it feels like Notre Dame is on the ascent. Not that Penn State isn't, but I like Notre Dame's trajectory right now.
If you told me just this year, I would say Penn State.
But 100%.
But I agree. I don't think Andy Kotelnicki is going to be there that long. I know that we're losing Drew Aller. I know that you're losing multiple defensive starters. How you're able to recruit and bring in players in the transfer portal is going to be beneficial, but Notre Dame is starting to do that. And the best part is kids that were looking at Ohio State and Michigan and Texas and Alabama, they now view South Bend, Indiana as a prime location, especially defensive talent. And I'm not a big fan of the Chris Ash hire, but I still believe Marcus Freeman has a say on how the defense is run. I don't think Mike Denbrock is going anywhere anytime soon. If he and CJ Carr build that relationship, Carr could be there for 2 more years. So if I've got a 3-year window, give me the Fighting Irish over the Nittany Lions.
Yeah, I'll make it a sweep. I'll go Notre Dame on this one as well. Hey, I don't even have a winner in this one. So, I thought it was just a really good conversation. I don't know that we were playing for points today, but this was one of our more fun wild cards, in my opinion. So,
winning 2-1. So, just for the record.
Yeah.
I'll give myself the point. So, it's 2-1-1.
Yeah, cool. So, because you came up with the idea. So, I guess that works.
Thanks for checking out this video. Like, comment, and subscribe. And if you're looking for more college football stuff, we've got it right here on College Football Addiction. Thanks for tuning in.